people took a much better liking to the name Chisenga than Crisis. I've been working with Drew, made the beat. You know, people say I'm the problem, and it actually upsets me in a way because dudes are failing to pay young producers. So then you're gonna tell me that they're shooting music videos for free and they're dressing fancy for free and they're posing in posh cars for free. This whole Tyler thing, I'm not looking at it from a negative perspective. They actually trying to make the effort to actually delete history, but thank God, you know, I'm here to tell y'all in person.
Chisenga, Crisis, you're not happening anymore. Your time is gone, and it's not the same anymore.
In all honesty, Chimweka, I actually just thought that you'd be respectful enough.
Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of On the Table. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Chimweka, or simply Chimweka. And well, you've seen for yourself what an amazing show we're going to have today. Keep being interactive with me. Let me know what you think as we have these conversations with my guest, the one and only. Look, we had to have this opportunity with him while he's in the country, because how often do you get this opportunity, especially that he's based in Perth, Australia? He is the first Zambian rapper, first Zambian artist to drop a mainstream hip-hop album, Officer in Charge. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome the one and only Chisenga, formerly known as Crisis. How you doing?
Is your name a Tonga name?
Yes.
I'm still in touch with my roots.
Yeah, and I've noticed this. I mean, your vernac is still on point. Your Nyanja, your Bemba, you haven't lost touch.
No, so fortunately for me, I actually studied Nyanja and Bemba. I was at Mulea Primary School in my early days before I was moved to Woodlands A Primary School.
Was it Mulea near Emmersdale Police?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Is Emmersdale Police looking better now? Because I remember that it needed some work.
Yeah.
I thought better paint, better, fence outside.
Yeah.
I lived in the Emmersdale area as well. And I always thought to myself, like, this place could actually be made to look better.
I think it's better now. It's better now. Yeah.
So it's funny because, while I've been living in Australia, I sometimes do some work with the Western Australian Police, but I'm not allowed to say what it is exactly that I do. Yeah, so I kind of feel like there's a possibility to do also some work between, because there's some systems that they have in Australia that I actually think that Zambia could adopt to better interactions between the communities, the citizens, and law enforcement. So, yeah.
Yeah. Pleasure to host you here. I mean, looking at your contribution to music here in Zambia and representing us out there. But let's start off with the name change. I know it's been a couple years since you made the official rebrand from Crisis, Mr. Swagger, to Chisenga. But let's talk about that. Why did you think it's very important that you had to go with your original name, your real name, your government name?
My poetic way of saying that is that I'm too far from home to not be at home with myself. Yeah.
She's very snapped out, like poetry, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm a natural.
Yeah.
Somebody, a Perth-based poet named Kate Jennings once told me, "Why hide your light in the bushel? Why hide your light in the bushel when you can shine?" And she kept telling, because I've always kind of been a bit of an introvert. And she kept telling me, "You got to let your name shine. You got to let your talent shine. Stop not letting people know how talented you are." These are our words. And another man called Sas Sadiq, who's like a mentor to me, he kept telling me, he always calls me Chis, because he's always known me as Chisenga, but he always calls me Chis. Chis, you gotta, same thing, but in a different way. So the name change comes from the fact that a lot of people, when I spoke to them and introduced myself to them as a music artist, originally from Zambia, because I always like to talk about my country and where I'm from, I just kind of feel like it's important because you just never know when somebody might want to visit Zambia, bring investment, see some of the problems that we're facing here, and see how we can rectify those issues. So we've been talking to some people. I don't want to get ahead of myself and start to reveal anything, but don't ever think that just because I live in a country where electricity is abundant, the internet works like super high speeds, and we have all these resources, don't ever think that I'm never affected by the economic factors
Yeah.
here, your shortcomings. We are directly affected in the sense that we like to subcontract a lot of our talent from Zambia
Yeah.
because this is where our roots are.
Yeah.
So yeah. So coming back to my name change, I just needed to be in touch with myself, and it seemed like it rolled so much better off people's tongues, was easy to find, and people took a much better liking to the name Chisenga than Crisis. Every time I introduced myself as the Crisis music artist, it was like, oh yeah, okay, what kind of music? But every time I introduced myself as Chisenga the person, that's my phone. Chisenga the person, I got the response I got was, wow, that's a really nice name. What does it mean? Then I have to explain to them, gift from God or God's love.
Yeah.
And also, I never knew the meaning of my name.
I think a lot of people do not. A lot of
No,
singers don't know.
I
Yeah.
never knew the meaning of my name, Chisenga, until I actually took the liberty to just look into it. I think I asked my mom and she didn't know. And I was like, well,
Mm.
I can't confirm that my mom didn't know, but I think I had a conversation about it with my mother. And then I basically did my
Maybe you were
own.
named after somebody. Were you?
I think my grandfather, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
see. I
Yeah.
see. Okay, so you mentioned the shortcomings you're experiencing here. What's it been like for you being here in the country, experiencing load shedding, slower internet, and all of that? Especially that you're coming through from Australia, like you mentioned, where you have these things in abundance.
So I've had to now make that a business cost because I've had to live in a hotel, live in a place where I've got people that are able to help me do things, maybe someone to do the laundry. Not saying that it can't be done at home, but also I've got family around the city,
Yeah.
but I needed to be situated in a sort of like central area where I had access to everything because I'm only here for a few days and I got to head out to Australia. I actually wanted to stay longer, but this is a topic for maybe
Yeah.
another question. I wanted to stay longer, but there's something that happened in Malawi that I'm excited about that I kind of need to get moving in Australia so we can start putting Africa where it's supposed to be in as far as the world standard and just the level.
Mm.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. So what you're saying is you haven't really experienced the full extent of what we're experiencing in the country.
I would say in a way, not exactly, but in a way, yes, because I've had to move my producer to my hotel
Okay.
so we can work. I've had to move some of the artists when we're recording. I've had to, take on maybe the expense of having, but sometimes it's just boys chilling, and
Yeah.
it's not an expense. We just chill. Somebody buys this, somebody, let's say food, snacks, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's cost me in the sense that I have to work from a hotel because there's constant electricity 24/7.
Yeah.
Then also because it's centrally based. But the good thing, and I hope that, I always hope that Zambia can learn a few things from the more developed countries because my expenses are tax deductible. So I can actually claim my expenses. So everybody I'm working with, I have to get invoices, receipts, but it's tax deductible.
Mm.
So which means you can get the money back.
So you've been working with different artists while they've been around here.
I've been working with different artists while I've been overseas, different Zambian artists.
Ah, okay. And you've done the same even while you've
I've done the same
basically
while I've been in Malawi. I've done the same while I've recorded, I think, a total of almost 7 new songs.
really.
Yeah.
Who are some of the artists you've been working with?
So I've worked with Cold Blue from Malawi. He's a young kid that's coming up. Um, Man, I've worked with what's his name, Lord Strider. He's from South Africa. He's a poet, actually, an amazing poet. So we met at the festival. Um, I'm working with Shady J from Nigeria. Man, him and I, we just had like this amazing chemistry, like young brother, big brother type relationship, and we just clicked and got along. That's just to mention a few
Yeah, yeah.
international artists from Zambia. I've been
Waiting for
working.
the Zambian names now.
Yeah, so from the Zambian names, I've been working with Drew Made the Beat.
Okay, the
I've been
producer.
working with LJ Mojo. I've been working with J Cash. I've been working with okay, let's just say I've been working with only the top talents that I can that under because you got to be on the same page. And I'm very if you check my history, go ahead and check my history on my catalog. I don't so people sometimes wonder why certain artists take time to release stuff. I don't just like to just put out fast food, and I like to put out music that you can go back and play and be like, wow. So other artists I've worked with, Ross Kinky. In
Okay.
fact, with Ross Kinky, Drew made the beats, the producer, and we've produced his EP and we've basically finished. And while I've been here, we're like sitting in the hotel room, like we can't believe we're finally in the same room, everybody meeting for the first time. But I believe I met Russ Kinky some years back, shorter hair, younger, and me smaller and thinking I was big.
Nice.
So now I've worked with a lot. Critic, did I mention
No,
Critic?
you didn't
Yeah,
mention
so
it.
Critic.
Oh, that's small.
Who else? Who else have I worked with? Oh,
White
Y
Ace.
Ace. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Y Ace.
Okay.
Y Ace. We just recorded a joint, him and I.
Nice.
Um, and that's the thing. Like with me, I like to flow like water
Yeah.
because there's a reason why God's put us in the same place at the same time. So when it's possible, I flow. I take advantage. I don't ask any questions. I just do it because there's a reason why you and I are sitting in the same room at the same time. You're doing your job.
Yeah.
You're giving me. You're helping me fulfill my purpose as well. You get what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. I love
But
that.
there's a more natural flow that happens with people being in the same place at the same time.
Have you also been getting some of the top artists here requesting to work with you?
So in a way, I guess so. Most people don't really know that Drew is. I'm sort of like mentoring Drew made the beat,
Okay.
and I give him advice about business. And the one thing that I'm glad that you actually kind of said that because the issue I've been having as well is like I've given Drew the liberty to say, work with everybody. He's a young guy, very talented, but work with everybody is no problem. But they have to respect him as a producer as well. There's a tendency of so-called, and this is the problem. And people say I'm the problem. People say I'm the problem, and it actually upsets me in a way because dudes are failing to pay young producers. The boy lives with his mother. I can't even call him boy. He lives with his mother. His mother's aging. She's getting on. He needs to be the man in the house. You get what I'm saying? People have responsibilities. Ask anyone who's worked with me if I've had problems paying them. I paid people when they didn't even expect money from me just because I'm the big brother and they look up to me. So it's really upsetting. I'm not going to mention any names. You know who you are. It's pretty upsetting when people just take beats and he's spending so many hours working on that music and they don't want to pay him. And when it's time to pay and he asks them a minimum price, they don't even want to pay the full price. He has to negotiate just to have some money in his pocket. And I really think that those practices in Z really need to stop.
Many argue that it's because certain artists are not really making as much money as they portray that they're making, and it's ruining the whole industry.
Okay, so then you're gonna tell me that they're shooting music videos for free, and they're dressing fancy for free, and they're posing in posh cars for free?
Or,
Do you
or-
get where I'm coming
yeah, I
from?
get where you're coming from.
Don't if you're gonna play the part, bro, play it full. Don't play big dog and then like not pay people for their
Mm.
work.
But do you think it's also because, I mean, there's so many producers out there that even he will accept? Because certain producers will say no. I know some producers who do decline, but for him, it's better than nothing for him, and maybe that's why he's willing to accept.
No, no. So you determine as a businessman, and it's especially that you have a unique talent, right?
Yeah.
Your voice, and this is where copyright comes in. Copyright is nothing but unique talent, something that somebody else hasn't done. That's copyright,
Yeah.
and you own it. That copyright has got a value. So whatever value you place on it, that's your value. Drew is an exceptionally talented boy, so talented. I've sent his music to some other people. I don't want to say who. You get what I'm saying? And I think he deserves to get paid well. So it's if other people won't work with him, I will work with him,
Yeah.
and we'll continue to make history. We're only just getting started.
With the names that you mentioned of the artists you've worked with, Critic, YA's, J Cash, I know you. I think you've put
Clapper Hayes.
Clapper Hayes. Oh, dope, dope. Taking it back. Hey, that's
Yeah.
nice. That's nice. Uh, of course, people would expect certain names. Maybe expect like a Camster to come up, or a Chef 187, a Slap D to come up among the names there, but they aren't, right?
So when Slap D was doing Black Now White too,
Yeah, of course. Yes,
I
yeah.
actually, I'm chilling, and then one evening, he calls me and is like, "Hey, actually, HMAC called me. It's like, hey, big dog, this is what we want to do. We got love for you. We look up to you." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, man. Anything to push Zambian hip hop forward." And then Slap called me, I think minutes later, or he was on the phone. I couldn't tell you verbatim
Yeah.
how the process went. So he gets on the phone, he's like, "Hey, big dog." And then we started talking about our differences and how they were. I mean, everybody, I would like to think that everybody is cool now. But Slap and I discussed about how all the confusion between us, and I don't want to talk about it. This is all you need to know. All the confusion between us, him and I agree, was caused by a third party. You get what I'm saying? He had a falling out with Rough Kid. I had a falling out with Rough Kid, and so I think that we went through a phase where Rough Kid was sending threats, and me being somebody who's my mother is trained in the military. You get what I'm saying? So she raised me as a single mother. So I was not raised by a typical woman. I was raised by
Tough woman.
tough woman. She's gone through a lot, and I actually really think that it's maybe her military training that made her that. She's gone through a lot, and she just sustains and holds on to God and prays and strengthens me as well. You know what I mean? But my point in saying that, what was my point?
And you were mentioning that you're cool now.
Yeah. So when somebody is sending threats, I take it he's got somebody, a boss. If you're under Diamond TV
Yeah.
and you're sending threats to me,
Yeah.
who should I think is in charge of you? And you're reporting as Diamond TV. You've got a boss,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how, things just ended up the way they did. They escalated. It didn't go too far, but it did escalate. And in the end, we sat down as men and we realized where the confusion was coming from. We both agreed. But at the end of the day, I'd like to think that we've matured and grown past all that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we were all young, dumb, and, I was making rash decisions.
But I just want to find this out. Was it true that you slapped D?
That's exactly. In all honesty, Chimweka, I actually just thought that you'd be respectful enough to tell to say that we're not going to address it, because I did say I don't actually want to talk about it. You get what I'm saying? And I just thought that you'd be respectful enough to respect that I asked. I basically don't want to talk about it because we know the truth amongst us,
Yeah.
and I don't kind of want to start getting into extra then this happened. It just turns into a whole story that I don't really have time to talk about.
Yeah.
As I said, everybody's grown past that. But coming back to Slap, we spoke on the phone. I gave him the verse, and I gave him like a pretty dope verse because like I'm a competitive person by nature, and I gave him a pretty dope verse. He was happy with it. And when it was time for him to return the favor, he just didn't do it. Which to me, it's not that I needed it. I was just like, okay, now it's time for us to now do it on my project. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't do it. And I asked to be paid, and he didn't pay the money. They said they didn't have money. And it's not always about money. So the thing with me is that the difference between me and a whole lot of people is I actually embrace this like an art. So I'll sit down, go to the backyard, and just start painting. I don't have to sell the painting. The fact that I was able to get my work out and maybe show it to whoever can see it, I think that to me that's the most valuable thing that I can do for myself because music is therapy. So no, he didn't return he didn't return the favor, and I just think that sort of behavior is in a way disloyal. It's dishonest. You get what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that I have a beef with him. No, I don't have a beef with him. But of course, when you look at the dynamics of how things are supposed to be done,
Yeah.
some things you just do them because you're standing 10 toes down and saying, this is who I am. I got to show up. Even if you don't, my thing, right? If you call me for an interview,
Yeah.
even if I'm running late and the interview's got 10 minutes 10 minutes left, the most important thing to me is that I made the effort regardless of what went down, come, rain, snow, mountain, whatever. I showed up. That's all.
So do you have this kind of have you had this situation with other artists as well apart from Slap D where maybe a favor wasn't returned or you didn't.
It's human nature, so
Yeah.
you will get it in different forms. It's not just in music. You get it in different forms. But just to clarify on that,
Yeah.
I'm a person, my mom's Christian, so I was raised in a Christian home. So I'm a person that gives without expecting.
Yeah.
And I also give without telling people what I give. You get what I'm saying? And that's why I'm just disappointed that I take it upon myself to look after my brothers. Times are hard. So if you're a big artist, look after the little guys. That's what we're supposed to be doing. And that's why, I've been feeling like, man, I was saying in the hotel room, Raskinki, I want you to say it loud. What did I say? What did I say when I was talking about LSK this morning? I just kind of felt like, I was like, man, I feel like this place needs me because I've also attained a whole lot of knowledge that I think that I can impart in the youth, in the industry, because we were younger, but now we're leaders as well. You get what I'm saying?
So you feel that there's a void now. You feel there's a gap, and there aren't enough mentors for the artists coming up today.
You don't really see. So the way to put this is you don't really see. So when you're in that situation, let's say you're in Zambia, you don't really see certain things because you spend so much time in here.
Okay.
But when you get out for a long time, and then you come back, you kind of just see like, why isn't this moving like this and why isn't this moving like this? Why do we only have one escalator going up at the airport and then the other one coming down is stairs? Why do we have another escalator on the other side going down and then stairs coming up?
Yeah.
Escalators are supposed to be one coming up, one going down. You get what I'm saying? That's what I saw the first thing I got to the airport, and I thought, okay, either shortage of funds. Or the guys, I'm not saying that this is what happened.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this is my brain thinking. I'm like, either shortage of funds or the guys decided we'll just put one and we'll pocket the rest. Maybe. I don't know. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't know.
And speaking of that, I've been wondering because you have been very pro LSK. You know, you've really been representing the city,
Hmm.
and you know, there's a whole movement, a whole culture that started, and then Copa Belt came through, Copala came through with their own style and you know representing their province.
Hmm.
I wonder how do you feel about what's been going? Have you been in touch with what's been going on
You know what's
LSK
so
and Copala?
funny? I just did. Am I allowed to mention
Yeah,
another podcast
yeah, yeah,
here?
yeah, yeah.
I just did that Z podcast,
Yeah.
and they asked me the same exact question,
Yeah.
almost like you guys read out of the same page.
Probably
And I
because
was,
K Plus is he's from the other side, Copala.
oh, is that so?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God I said some good stuff about it. Nah, so my point though is I like to keep it a buck, you know, and what I think is that I'm actually more in touch with local music than people think. This is home. So it would be very stupid for me not to, because I'm not here. So the only way that I can tap into is through the culture, the arts, through friends.
I think maybe people might think otherwise because I think there was a point where there was the whole PJ situation where you
I'm
said
glad you
something
asked
about
that. Let's clarify that real quick, but
Yeah.
I'll get back. Please
Yeah,
get me
yeah, I'll
back to
remind
that
you, I'll remind you,
question.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that. You know this, I think that me being in the country is also very, very important so we can get clarity on a whole lot of
Yeah.
things.
except that one issue which you don't want to talk about.
No, because you know, to be honest, like both, I think all parties involved,
Yeah.
we all know we were young, dumb, and stupid.
Yeah.
I don't want to start addressing those things. You
Okay,
get what I'm
okay,
saying?
Fair enough. Yeah, valid.
Yeah.
Back to the PJ.
Back to
not
the
knowing
PJ thing. So here's the thing, bro.
Mm.
Ichisungu chali shupa. What I said, and if you can find the post, don't create anything fake with AI or whatever you use to create fake posts. Find the original post. And I'm going to ask someone who's my childhood friend. It's the first time he's probably hearing this statement. I just want him to say it out loud. Come closer to your mic
Yeah, sure.
and say it out loud what his understanding of this is.
His name?
No, so this is Humphrey.
I'm free. Okay.
He's my child. Humphrey's my
You can
child.
actually join here, right here.
Yeah.
So Humphrey's
And feel free to ask. So another thing I need to tell you about Humphrey. Humphrey is my childhood friend. So he actually knows me from when I started rapping. I actually learned part of my skills from Humphrey because he was kicking. Remember Cello? Yeah. But anyway, what was the question again?
So the perception is that
PJ. Right.
Crisis
No,
Chisenga now didn't know who PJ was when he was in his prime.
Okay, so check this out. I'm in touch with Zed. I know exactly what's happening. PJ passes on. PJ and I have met and greeted each other from a distance, greeted each other when he's with other people, but not actually conversated to get to know each other. So PJ passes on, and I praise him for his talent and everything he's done. And now the statement that Zambians went history with spears on me and all that Shaka Zulu ish is because I said it's a pity I didn't get to know you in person. Oh my God. How can you pretend you don't know PJ? He's bigger than you. Humphrey, can you explain what that English means, please? Humphrey and I were really great in English class at school. We did really good in school, actually, him and I. We went to Woodlands A Primary School, and we are products of Woodlands A Primary School, just to make it clear. But I want you to now tell the people that don't understand what it's a pity I didn't know you in person. What does that mean? Chimweka. No, I'll let Humphrey say it.
I think, okay, the key phrase is in person. It's not saying that he didn't know him at all. In person is like they didn't meet and talk and get to work together, but he knew who he was. Yeah, so the key phrase is in person. Yes.
Chimweka.
Okay.
Chimweka, are you the typical Zambian that didn't understand it?
No,
or did you now understand it from the horse's mouth? And if
Yeah.
you find the original post,
Thank you, Humphrey. Yeah.
you know, and if you find the original post, that's what I actually said. Can you please tell me what I said wrong?
No, it makes sense. There's so many people that, for example, I've not known you in person. This is our first time meeting, but not that I've never heard of you or ever come across your
Same.
work.
What was the first thing I said when I met you about you?
I've heard a lot about you. Yeah.
But I don't know you in person. Tule sambili shine sungu na imwe pa podcast. We ba Zambian na imwe. Ilimo mfafyo kupata abantu katwishinga bala mituma tikampateni. Awobe naba mituma eba shetani. Because I don't play that, man.
But and that's actually another point I want to talk about, especially with what has been happening with Tyler the Creator's song. We'll take a break, but after the break, we'll talk more about that and continue the conversation with Chisenga.
They actually trying to make the effort to actually delete history, but thank God, I'm here to tell y'all in person. When you see them raise their hands, you see me standing mostly amongst the elders. And Ngozi jumps out, starts adjusting his belt and whatever, leaves his door open, then his car says, Wangozi mwasi door. This whole thing of burning bridges, I don't know where you get that energy from. It doesn't serve you right. This whole Tyler thing, I'm not looking at it from a negative perspective, but Zambians really need to learn to put the same, mojo and the same energy into promoting their own.
Welcome back. We're still hanging out with Chisenga, formerly known as Crisis. By the way, do you think people have gotten used to, especially here in Zambia, the other side, do you think people have gotten used to Chisenga as opposed to Crisis, which you've had for a very long time?
I think they should be.
Yeah.
It rolls better off the tongue. It's our own, mother tongue. It's who we are.
Yeah.
I think that should be the easier one.
Yeah.
So coming back to the Copala, and I was just saying, like, Copala,
LSK culture, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I think that separating yourself by region, there's nothing really wrong with that. It's like how you have King Illist and others killing it in Tonga as well.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. We've got like 9 tribes or more. You know what I mean? In Zambia, so
72 actually.
Sorry, did I say?
But
where did I get the 72
official?
tribes? No, you're right.
Yeah, official should be about 7 or.
Yeah. 9. I think official 9. Yeah, the official tribes. Correct. Yeah, I thought I was losing my mind. Yeah. So I was just saying last night that same answer. Copala, they've established a sound which is crazy enough has also gone international in the sense that some of the tracks, some of the beats, I've heard people add them on their playlists. People that have never been to Zambia. But also we've got LSK dudes, Yo Maps and others playing, on Australian radio, playing in different parts of the world.
Yeah.
Even in Malawi, I heard his music playing in Malawi.
Oh, he's big in Malawi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know whether Zambians know, my music also plays in Malawi. It plays in Australia, plays in America. There's like the biggest independent radio station on the charts, A-Break Music. I'm on number 15, the biggest independent chart radio show. I'm at number 15, and I'm actually representing Zambia. There's a lot of things that people don't really know that I'm doing for the country, because maybe I just can't talk about it all. It's just a lot going on. And maybe people will catch up. Eventually, it'll make sense.
And, that also takes me to another very critical point when we talk about the recognition you're getting from over here compared to the other countries where you get your calls in Malawi and so on. Where do you think the problem comes in? Where do you think it all goes wrong, that it's not the same kind of recognition back home?
I think sometimes you don't know what you've got until maybe other people claim it. Then you're like, oh, wow, and I think that's one of the things that happened with people like Rosala Miller. I know her as well. We had like Warren Mills as well, who had like a Billboard song on the Billboard charts. You get what I'm saying? And I just kind of feel like Zambia didn't and doesn't even recognize him enough. Like, people don't even really talk about him enough. Like, why is nobody interviewing him? Like, do you get what I'm saying? A younger artist may be working with him and things like that. It's just a whole lot. We've got a tendency of saying that kariaka kwebati tachiwe mekanonga nivena. Wakeshwa kare. Dude, like, I didn't get out of Zambia just to make myself maybe wealthy or to live this plush life or whatever. In fact, I'm a very low key person, but I got out of Z in order for me to lift my friends up. So if I'm in a better position, my circle or whoever I'm working with, I can just keep lifting them up, even if it's for one day when they don't have electricity, and I'm the one that fills in the gap. And this is business related. This is not just giving people handouts. I have to be very clear.
Oh yeah.
Because people assume that when you leave when you leave the country and go to and you go overseas, then you're just gonna have money to throw around. There's budgets, there's taxes to deal with. You just can't throw money around. Everything's accounted for. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, but we do earn our own money that we can do things for. But remember, we're still young and running, so we're still building new businesses. There's a lot of things that are going on, building new establishments. Capital is a constant requirement. We constantly require capital. So I might not always have the money sitting in the bank, but it's working somewhere so that when it returns, it's way more than I would have had just sitting in the bank. Yeah, so how did we get there?
We were talking about recognition. We were talking about recognition.
Yeah.
But was it the same feeling you had when people were excited about Tyler the Creator's Noid song? Obviously,
No.
that's the elephant in the room.
No. So and that's another thing. Like, I've been an innovator, but like I said, tafiwa makanonga nivena. Like, I've actually seen people literally making the effort to try to rewrite history on who used the Zamrock sample first and things like that. They actually trying to make the effort to actually delete history. But thank God, I'm here to tell y'all in person, and a lot of people like you are not blind to the fact that and you know what's so crazy? And very few people, and this is on God's hearing me, very few people amongst us, amongst the musicians, there's very few people that can raise their hands. When you see them raise their hands, you see me standing mostly amongst the elders. When we say who actually met Pongozi in person, because I did. When I was young in Woodlands, I lived in Woodlands. I went to Woodlands A Primary School. Yeah, so my mother sends me, I lived in Msuzi Road. My mother sends me to there was a meat shop there, a butchery, sorry. I remember the colors red and black, white building, red and black writing on the top. I can't remember what it was. But I went out there to get some beef, and then up pulls a Skyline, a gray one, and Ngozi jumps out, starts adjusting his belt and whatever, leaves his door open, then his car says, Wangozi mwasi a door, yo vurika, or something like that. Then he went back, closed the door, turned the car off, and when he started walking
Wait,
out,
who said that?
the car.
Okay.
'Cause
Yeah.
Knight Rider was famous back
Yeah,
then. So
yeah.
Ngozi used to play a tape with a woman's voice, and he would, I think, time it. This is the only thing that made sense to me.
Yeah.
Because I know a nigga had a talking car.
So I'm like,
Without
wait,
due
who said
respect,
that?
without due respect, legend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I had heard these stories. So when I met him in person, and the car did that, it bothered me so much. I was like, how did he make his car talk? Because I'm young. I'm like, how old were we in grade 3? I can't remember how old I was, but I was in like grade 3 or 4 or 5. I can't remember.
But what year was that?
I can't remember,
Oh,
but
okay.
he hadn't died, so it was before 1991.
Yeah.
Yeah, so because he died in 91. Yeah, so it bothered me, and my conclusion was, my only conclusion, those days we had cassette tape players.
Yeah.
My conclusion is, and the girl talking was in a Z accent, and she said it in Nyanja.
And he definitely
I
was.
figured it was his wife. or somebody, or one of the female band
Yeah,
members. I
yeah,
don't know,
yeah. You
man.
got somebody to do it.
Them was fam.
Yeah.
Like the whole Ngozi family experience. It was a family thing. So yeah, it bothered me. Anyway, I met him, I shook his hand, and I told him that I liked his music. But when I grew up and living in Australia, because now I'm outside from home and I'm now thinking about my roots, and I started thinking, man, I really want to go back to my childhood. And then what was that Ngozi song that I liked where he's talking about head butting someone? That's my joint. And so I started looking for it, just going through because I couldn't remember the title. So YouTube, and then I found it, Ngozi Family Experience. It wasn't even a Paul Ngozi song. It was the Ngozi Family Experience led by Paul Ngozi. He was the lead singer of, it's like Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5, same stunt. Anyway, so so when I'm in Australia and I find it, Ngozi Family Experience, Nizaka Kupanga Ngozi. And then I play my only worry I remember the worry that I had in the back of my mind. I was like, man, I hope I can rap on that joint. Then when I played it, bah, 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 boom, 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 bah.
And I love what you did with Translate. That was
boom, boom, boom. I cut up the sample, I chopped it up, I put it on CD, and I remember I kept playing it in my Mazda while waiting to pick up my kids from school. I'll just go to the beach, and I don't write. I ask anyone that's worked with me in the studio. I think it's the first time Russ Kinky is sitting over there. I think it's the first time he's seen how I work. I don't do pen and paper. You will not find pen and paper with any lyrics. I don't write. I just get on the mic. But this time, because I was picking up kids and just running around, it's my first early days in Australia, maybe my third year, and I had to write because I was motivated. So I actually wrote the lyrics, and then finished the second verse off in the studio without writing. I just had like bits of it, and then I just kind of, spread it around and completed the track. I gave it to Zambian radio. Nobody got it. Nobody got it. And I've been telling people, I think maybe I come from the future. I'm actually starting to believe this, as crazy as it sounds. And I don't mean that in like science way, but what I'm saying is maybe you ought to start paying attention to what I'm trying to say and what I'm trying to do with Zambian music. Because I've been that dude trying to innovate all the time. And if you go through my catalog, and the fact that I've worked with two amazing dancehall artists tells you I'm not like some selfish artist. I've worked with Daddy Zimas, outside my genre, dancehall. People want to call him a rapper.
rapper. Yeah, I was about to say that.
Let's just clear. Daddy Zimas was not a rapper. We need to clarify that. Please stop categorizing him in hip hop. I personally knew him. And that's another person that I knew personally as well. I knew him in person. Daddy Zimas was not a rapper. He was a dancehall ragamuffin artist. Let's just get that out of the way. So I worked with Daddy Zimas, and now I've also worked with another amazingly fine dancehall artist named Ras Kinky. He's sitting right here. Yeah. We've basically, I don't want to talk about the project, but we've finished working on, but it's just I'm excited for him.
How did you manage to clear were there any copyright issues you had to deal with the Ngozi family to use that sample?
Yeah, so that was one of that was one of the things that actually delayed the release, because I couldn't release it, but I came to find out, which was crazy. So earlier, years before I left Zambia, I have a friend called Dan Sosa. I think he's now living, I don't know if he's in Canada. His son was just telling me. I think he's in Canada. Anyway, Dan introduced me to a guy called Peter Nyirongo officially. Peter and I used to cross paths, and we just had good vibes about each other. Like, just, there's people you just meet and you just have mutual respect. We just had that mutual respect. And then I came to know him better through Dan Sosa. It was like, oh, this is Peter. He's an amazing businessman. Peter's really focused, blah, 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 his American accent. So I'm like, okay. And then Peter and I find we have a mutual friend. I had no idea that was Pongozi's son. I was just glad that I kept good vibes with him. And that's what I try to tell people. Like this whole thing of burning bridges, I don't know where you get that energy from. It doesn't serve you right. Guys, I'm here to build. I'm not here to burn bridges. Don't feel threatened or anything. If there's something you owe me, pay the piper. You know what I mean? But I'm not here. We need to lift each other up. Anyway, coming back to Peter, glad I kept a good relationship with him because when I needed him to clear the sample, I knew exactly who Pongo's son was. And I always used to, before I even sampled it, I always used to tell Peter, and Peter would tell you, Peter Nyirongo, big shout out, bro. I always used to tell him, bro, your dad's music, I used to love your dad's music. And he was like, oh, just like he's out of words, doesn't know what to say. Yeah, man of few
Probably
words.
gets it a lot.
Man of few words when you're praising his father. So when it was time to clear the sample, he held me down. He held me down and still continues to hold me
So
down.
you had to pay for it.
No.
Oh,
So
okay.
the plan is any royalties that come from that, they get a share of the royalties.
Oh, okay.
And that's basically it.
So it's probably the same
Because-
thing with Tyler, right?
Correct. Because look, the record hasn't done what I thought it would do.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like, you know what? This whole Tyler thing, I'm not looking at it from a negative perspective, but Zambians really need to learn to put the same, mojo and the same energy into promoting their own. Yeah, quite all right, you promote your own. But are we just gonna have one genre of music on TV, on every TV? Like, are we just gonna do that? Just like we're just gonna have one genre? How many genres of music are in Zambia? You get what I'm saying? How many genres of like there's so many other genres that need to be promoted more. MTV, Hollywood, major studios, they're very selective with content. They don't just throw anything. It's not everybody can't go because when you saturate the market, while you think that you're boosting the music business
And opening
you're
it,
actually making it look like it doesn't really
the structure.
have a structure or the quality that, because there's people doing low quality stuff
Yeah.
and you're giving them all the people need time to grow. It doesn't mean that they're not going to end up on TV, but you got to give people time to grow and get them to tell them to come with it next time, and they grow through that. I've been rejected so many times, even by my own country. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem with it because I kind of feel like God's got me here for a purpose, obviously. So that's
And even you coming here, this was like on your own plan. Like you didn't have anybody organize your trip here, like it was in Malawi where you're just coming from a few days ago.
No. So with the Malawi trip, I got invited to perform at the UMP festival
Yeah.
in Malawi, of course. And I kind of decided that I was going to use that to build, to continue to reinforce my relationship with the Australian Arts and Culture Department.
Okay.
And so they basically powered my trip to Malawi and my trip here right now.
Oh, okay.
Because to further the agenda is that we're basically looking to build a bridge between Australia, Zambia, Africa, but especially open the market for African artists to start, coming to Australia more. And not just like doing gigs by maybe private guys that are small, like really, really big festivals and things like that.
Because I've seen that, like a lot of artists who go there, they maybe perform for like the community of the country they're coming from.
Yeah,
right?
which is, to me, I don't know if that's what you call really going international. If you're overseas and performing for an international crowd, yes, okay, you can say it's international. I'm not saying it's not. But I think it furthers the case if you can actually be in front of the indigenous people and the actual local people of that area, the actual, the people of that demographic, the actual Australians, not just catering to me, that's like now you're going international. Wazungu, Wapaka, Waziri wangu Tamba, and not just like our own people, because 90% when Zambians come to Australia, it's like 90% Zambian audience. And I just kind of feel like you're basically performing for the same crowd. The idea is to expand your market to a new audience. It doesn't mean that you're forgetting about your local audience. No, your local audience simply adds to the international audience. And that's how the numbers grow.
Yeah. I know there's a lot we can talk about, but we have to wrap the conversation here. I know that while you've also been around, you've been interacting with the authorities, I believe. Have you been in touch with the Ministry of Arts, Youth, Sports and Arts?
I've been in touch. Ironically, I met people from that office at the airport.
Okay.
So just that's my next meeting right from here. I need to head to that meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some things that yeah, I don't want to talk about the details. There's just some things that I want to sort of discuss and see what we can do. Yeah,
Definitely.
we've so just to clarify, I went to the UMP festival.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why the UMP festival was important. It takes me back to showing up. Like if you're gonna do something and say you're gonna commit to something, at least show up. So what my minimum expectation of myself is to show up, and if anything else, I will network with the people there. I'm a people person. I will network, and so I networked with people. And what do I know? I ended up staying at the best hotel in Blantyre, the Amaryllis Hotel, because we then partnered with the owners of that hotel, plus other business partners. Taps, you know who you are. Rami, you know who you are. In order for us to now further, because one of them is actually African tourism ambassador.
Oh, okay.
One of them sits with the Malawian president. You know, we've got really a really strong team going on. And when we look at Tourism Africa, that is a big anchor for African arts and culture. And beyond anything else, I know a lot of people want to judge me from my music, but you better recognize I actually do way more than just music. I'm producing, I'm working with artists, I mentor artists. Some songs you don't even know that I'm behind correcting some of the artists so they can sound better, so they have a better output. I don't really talk too much. I'm back there trying to lift my country up. Judge me what you like. I'm doing me. I hope that you're doing you. That's the most important thing.
Two last questions before I let you go. One, for somebody who's doing the work that you are doing, and I mean, time has gone by, and a lot of artists have come through now, and maybe
They've come and gone.
yeah, there's some have come and gone. Some are in their prime now.
Yes.
You've experienced being in your prime.
I feel like I'm in my prime.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough.
Yeah. Okay. More than it was back then.
Yeah.
But then
I
you
actually feel a strange hunger,
okay.
which is strange as well. But I'm glad, because the hunger is what's not just serving me. There's a whole lot of other artists that come along with that. So it's a really good thing.
And what would your message be for those who don't see it that way? They see it as Chisenga crisis. You're not happening anymore. Your time is gone, and it's not the same anymore.
You know, what is I think that the question people need to ask is, or rather they need to look at is, when you wake up in a mirror, what is your image of success? Beautiful family, kids that love you. I have that. Roof over my head. I have that. Electricity 24/7. I have that. No. I'm not.
I love that one.
No.
Yeah.
Because it's really about getting caught in a situation and finding a way out, right?
Yeah.
So I have that. I have certifications now, way beyond music. I'm a metallurgist. You don't know that. So I can guide and I know how to extract iron ore from an underground mine. So I know what I can do. So I know what I can do beyond the music. I know what I can do in the community. There's so much, because I wasn't just, nshayire
What's the
mukutamba
Findek of
okay, it's the equivalent of nshayire mukutamba findeko. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, like it's just I don't really like to make a big deal about what I'm doing. I just kind of keep it on the low, but I've got a lot of hidden arsenal. There's a lot of things that I've studied that maybe when caught with a challenge, you'd be surprised how fast I can actually move and make things happen because of while I'm in Zambia, because of what I've acquired overseas. So I think that success is really an individual thing.
But do you think Zambians
I think that I have levels of success that I really appreciate about myself, being a pioneer and having open doors for people so people could believe in their dreams. I think that if I had to say that if that was the measure to say my job is done, I'd say yeah, okay, my job's done there. What more do you want from me? And then first artist to be invited to perform at the Channel O Video Music Awards representing Zambia. I did a World Cup event with MTV Base. I don't know if I don't know if I'm the only artist to have a #1 song across Africa, but I suspect I am. Zambian artist. I had a #1 song across Africa and I say powered by MTV Base and Channel O because those were the two channels that really pushed the fire inside. And then it went #1 for weeks. And I was like, is it still #1? I'd be looking at the charts. I'm like, wow, it's still #1. You know what I mean? That's something to count for. I was nominated Best Southern African Hip Hop Video. I competed against AKA. May his soul rest in peace. We knew each other. The last time I saw him was actually during that time. I've got video of us backstage. It's actually on my Facebook page. Just the name Chisenga, not Chisenga Katongo, just the name. And my stage name, I need to clarify. If you can't write it any better, just write Chisenga, all block letters. That's how I write my stage name. That's all. Don't add, don't remove. It's just Chisenga.
No H at the end.
No small letters, just Chisenga in block letters. And my preferred font is Passaggero. Then you'll see what my brand looks like. That's me.
I love that. And I love that you've touched on the great work that you've done. But the question would be, do you think you relive that glory musically, especially because you have so much that you've done also away from the music?
No, there's so many other greater things that are in motion. I don't like. I don't want to talk about certain things. There's so many great things that are in motion that I'm like, man. And I thought that I saw it all.
Yeah.
But some amazing things have happened, and I'm like, God's been amazing. You know what I mean? And that's the crazy thing. It's like you're doing the most to lift people up, and people are doing the most to try and pull you down. But I was also raised, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I was raised by a militant mother.
Yeah.
Which means I train in the morning like I'm in the military. I train like I have to go, like I have a boxing match. I jog in the morning, every morning. My brain power, my capacity to withstand difficult situations. I've lived in Zambia under very difficult times. There's things I've experienced that have reinforced me and have made me stronger. And I see that God has held me down all this time because he's not finished with me. And people can judge how people can judge how they like. The one thing I never do, I never judge people's dreams. And when you grow up, you learn to do that because you realize that God and life will humble you. Because you think, "Mule mwena momuntu," and then he rises. Then what? You get what I'm saying? Then what? You're not God. You don't know a person's future. Did I know that I'd live this long? To be honest, no. I actually didn't think that I'd be here today. I was young, dumb, stupid. I did a lot of stupid things, and I put myself in situations. And now I look back and I'm like, man, God kept you for a reason. So you gotta give back.
Amen. I love that. I love that. That's I feel like that's the most powerful thing you've said on this interview. I love it.
Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you.
I love it. Hey, I don't want to hold you here too long. I think I've already eaten into a lot of your time. But thank you so much for making the time and
Nah,
staying here.
yeah,
Really appreciate it.
Nah, peace and God bless. I mean, I'm just really about lifting each other up. You know what's when I see somebody trying to pull another man down, I kind of feel like my wires in my head no we no sana na muno muntu adesunko muntu panshi. My brain just can't function. You saw how I react to people not paying producers, and I'm not just talking about Drew. I'm talking about videographers. I'm talking about music producers. Like, stop playing. If you're gonna say you're a big artist, play that role. Start paying people. Stop saying no, there's many other. It's up to us to lift the younger guys because we are the mentors, we are the leaders. Our job is to lift each other up, not push people down and celebrate when somebody's down. Bruh, you don't know a person's future. Never laugh at a man when he's down.
I love that. Chisenga, thank you so much for joining us today on the show.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you as well for tuning in to this week's episode of On the Table. Look out for the next one again. My name is Chimweka, simply Chimweka. Bye-bye.